these tuxedos are pretty, it's ironic, it's funny, and then they fart in your office, and you're like, actually, the tuxedos are fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
It was a dressed up turd. You can dress up a turd, but it's still a piece of shit.
Have either of you seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Of course he knows Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
That's a fucking crazy meatwad.
I just remember they always talk like this.
Meatwad's so cute. All the girls love Meatwad.
Sights and sounds and edges found. You will now get down with The Underground, the show that goes to the depths of the Dynasty landscape. I am Trav, hosting and West Coastin'. Back with the boys. Super excited. We missed last week, and I apologize to the listeners, but we are back now, ready for that fantasy playoff push. Jaxing on and jaxing off as he readies for all of those playoff teams. Mr. Jax Falcone. How you doing, buddy? Couple weeks. Missed you, my man.
Feeling good. The pre-show was lit. I mean, it was absolutely lit. I don't know what's going to end up on the pre-show intro stuff, but something tells me that the people are in for a treat. So enjoy that. Hope you enjoyed that. Whatever it was.
Vibes were absolutely up on the pre-show, and
holy smokes.
The ball is now in my court as far as what goes on in the cold open this week. So that will be fun after the episode, but we do have to record an episode before I can get there. And of course, from the corner office with the view, he's got the full button up today. He is looking profesh. Mr. Joe Quavius Kuvatakis. How you doing, man?
What's up, now? I'm sorry.
Oh my god, dude.
Jack just brought up Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and it brought back many late nights in college.
I mean, it does match up. You are Meatwad. I am obviously Master Shake, and he's totally Frylock. I mean, this does kind of
actually
Frylock. I don't know. So for listeners, I've never seen the show.
Yeah,
no idea what the context is, and so
Frylock is the reasonable leader of the pack, who is the authority on many things.
Fair assessment.
It's actually perfect. It's
yes.
If our podcast was a cartoon for high people,
yes, you'd be Meatwad because you're cute and everybody loves you, and of course, Master Shake is a completely annoying, mouthy,
that's a
a-hole.
fit.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a fit.
Gotta know who you are.
Oh man, I am so glad the band is back together. I missed you boys last week, and lots to talk about. Lots of fantasy football things have been happening. For the listeners, of course, we're posted up on the Undroppables YouTube channel and your favorite audio platforms. Follow the brand at the Undroppables on your favorite social media as well, and you can find ours in the description. But yeah, boys, it's we're getting close to the playoffs. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of things going on in the fantasy leagues right now. Trade offers are swirling. We're going to talk about some sophomore quarterbacks and some playoff buy low players, which I think is a really good conversation where there's a little bit of nuance in that. But Jax, I think you had a little bit of something that we wanted to introduce to the Dynasty Underground listeners and viewers before we got there.
I did a show with Theo Greminger a few weeks back, and I introduced this idea that I had, and Theo went right back to being a pro, which makes sense. But the idea was, it was about Mike McDaniel. And I was like talking about how, Mike McDaniel, when they were like winning like a couple years ago, when he first started, he comes in, he's like got the unironic, like big Miami sunglasses, and he's out there on the, he's got the Jerry curl. He's wearing tight pants, like the whole thing. He's got his chest out with like a couple chains on, unbuttoned shirt, silk stuff. Like he's fucking Miami Vice. He's out there calling plays. He's in the press conference. It's super fucking cool. And then when they are losing, you look at Mike McDaniel and you're like, it's kind of all fucking not that cool anymore. Like all the antics and stuff, kind of stupid. It kind of reminded me of Seth Rogen when he's doing Step Brothers, and the Step Brothers are in there with the tuxedos, and they're all fucking having a good old time. And he's like, you guys are cool. And then they fart in his office, and they're like complete losers. And he's like, actually, these tuxedos are fucking stupid. You guys are awful. Like, right? He comes to the realization that the tuxedos were no longer cool anymore. And then Theo just went on. I was like, wait, I thought there was something there. Well, lo and behold, the boys over at the Astronauts, they tapped me in. They're like, yo, that's our thing. We got that. That's you're hitting our thing. We call that the tuxedo risk. And I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about. So it had to come up, and I thought no better place than with the friendly confines of the underground. Shall I bring this up?
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe do we want to put a little like parameters around some of it? You gave it an explanation, Jax, but the way I see it is kind of like those players that on the surface might look really nice and shiny. You mentioned pre-show, Jax, Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt.
Perfect, right? It's the
Unbelievable,
type of
right?
guy that comes in and you're like, hey, he didn't even play his senior year.
And the
You know
result
what
is
I mean? It's like, oh, that's kind
the
of different. You
result
don't
is you
normally wear it.
hitting, like you're
Huh?
hitting on a late round pick, you're hitting on a guy nobody else was on. So like
Yeah.
there's that extra panache to it. He's
Yes.
got the tuxedo of that guy that you spotted and your
Yes.
league mates don't. But turns out sometimes when you dress up a turd, it's still a piece of shit, boys.
It just has tuxedo risk. He could be awesome. He could be Arian
Yeah.
Foster, right? It's not like he's gonna suck, but there's tuxedo risk in this motherfucker. That's one thing I can tell you.
So it's basically like a non-traditional sort of, but it's got vibes, right? And the vibes are good.
The
The vibes are
vibes.
good, and it's like you normally wouldn't do this, but the tuxedos are on. Like this is kind of cool. Let's just go
Yeah,
with it.
it
See
could
what
be
happens.
great. This is
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How about Ricky Pearsall? Some tuxedo
Maybe.
risk there?
After the gunshot.
Oh,
After the
the
gunshot, I think he
built-in
still
excuse.
had like the flashy one-handed catch lunch pail tuxedo on him before the gunshot
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
I think the
Maybe
gunshot just added a little extra element of hard
you put the
to
Harry and Lloyd tuxedos on after that.
So
Harry, you go talk to her. I'll just stand back here and throw out the vibe.
Yeah, throw out the vibe.
so I got one.
All right, go.
KOC quarterbacks, right?
Yes.
Minnesota quarterbacks. It's just like,
Yes.
it doesn't matter who it is. Sam Darnold, this dude's
Right.
awesome. Kirk Cousins, he's great.
Watch
Right?
this.
We just think it could just go forever, right? We're just like,
Brosmer.
even
It's gonna be fine.
even as long as he's not JJ McCarthy, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. It's gonna be good. KOC quarterbacks, exactly. This is the idea. It's anything, Shador had a little bit of this, of course, so yeah, there's
Okay.
different
Chiefs running backs on that note. Chiefs
Yes.
running backs.
That was on my list as well. Any
Yep.
Chiefs running back, yeah. It's like
Yes.
then you're sitting there and you're just starting Kareem Hunt, and you're just like, this guy has no juice.
Yeah. What was I thinking here? This is not a good idea. That's right. Yeah.
He just
You guys
has a
are
red
on it.
jersey.
This is
So
fun.
as we come along to different players over the years, literally, you'd be like, a little bit of tuxedo risk here, and we'll drop it. And it's just like something that might feel a little too good, but if you just scratch away at the surface, you're like, yeah, this is a terrible bet. That's the tuxedo risk.
Yeah.
I love
Okay,
it.
suit up, boys. I like it. Shout out to the Astronauts. Love those guys. Jetpack Galileo, Chase, who runs the socials. Big fans of ours, and we are big fans of theirs as well.
Cheers.
Cheers to them for sure. Oh, boys. We're going to talk about some of these sophomore quarterbacks, and I don't know, we got to keep an eye on Jax because the heart rate might increase here. Because we are going to once again talk about a little bit of Drake Maye and peek behind the fourth wall and shout out to Wiz. We were talking before the show, Jax, you had a little bit of stuff going on. We were a little bit TBD as to what showtime would be, whether we'd be able to make it happen. And so we thought about whether we should see if Wiz wanted to sub in for you. And Joe and I were texting, and Joe said, Wiz will have a lot of Drake Maye propaganda. And I said, do we need more? And he's on the show sheet, so we'll give a little bit more propaganda. I have to be completely honest here. I don't have any banger stats pulled for this one necessarily. We've already laid out a bunch of them: completion percentage, over expectation, deep passing. Joe, the look on your face tells me that you have something different. So
I've got some dope ones. Yeah.
why don't you lay that out? And then Jax, you bring up the rear on that one, because I think you have both takes, right? You have the fantasy take, and this is your quarterback for the next decade.
All right. So he's number 3 in the league in catchable throw rate at 79%. He's at 8.84 yards per attempt. That's good for number 2 in the league. But the most jarring thing when you look at his stats is He is 11th in the NFL in pass attempts, and he is number 1 in yards, which tells you just everything you need to know right there, just about the efficiency and how great this guy is playing. He's not even in the top third in terms of pass attempts, and he's number 1 in yardage. That is awesome. That's the kind of efficiency that we look for, because if he gets more volume with that efficiency, which I don't expect on a Vrabel team, but like it's going to be an even bigger bonanza.
Yeah.
Jax, I know you got some dank ones in there.
You okay, buddy? You all right?
Well, I didn't see the show sheet before we did the show, so
Of
I don't
course
know.
not.
This is all off the hip, but Drake Maye, who's that?
Just pull up
Give me a
Wiz.
team and I'll go from there. Who's he play for? A little bit of tuxedo risk in Jax Falcone tonight. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Look, he's the one stat I always like on this one is the adjusted net yards per attempt, and like sometimes that like brings in like sacks and like all these crazy things, and like there's guys who have a 2 or 3 yards per adjusted net yards per attempt. He's at 8.04. There are a bunch of NFL quarterbacks right now who are not even at 8 yards per attempt. Some of them not even at 8 yards per completion. I'm kind of kidding. But it's true. It's like, this is a crazy number. So he's been so efficient. I will tell you, I a lot of times it'll be eye tests and everything. There's just stats that if you look at what he was in college to what he's doing in the pros, completion percentage, pressure to sack, like all these ones that like you don't normally get better at these things when you go into the pros. It's like you don't normally get better at yards per attempt and completion percentage and pressure to sack. Like, who's done that? So like I looked at like, I was looking back to see if like maybe I missed something with Drake Maye, and I think analytically, statistically, I think he was kind of a okay fade. I get it now. Watching him, a lot of what I saw from him as a prospect was a little choppy. There's none of that right now. Like, it's incredible to watch him. Like, he manipulates the pocket. He manipulates the secondary with like half ball fakes and stuff, like things that are like, he is so next level right now and has such a mastery of things that when you watch him, that's the thing that's crazy to me. This isn't like, oh, he's just ripping it all over the place. Yeah, the throws are great and all that. It's the other stuff. It's the pocket manipulation. It's manipulating safeties. It's, slight pump fakes. It's just knowing where to move. He'll take like 2 or 3 running steps away from pressure, almost looking like he's going to scramble and then throw it. And of course it's online. Like, his touch, the softness of some of his throws when they need to be. Obviously, we see that not from Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy. We're seeing so much of that. Like, I could go on, but it's just the things we're seeing we just don't see from anybody, let alone a prospect. So nobody really could have seen all this coming, because it's
no way.
It's that good in the NFL. It's better than all the other NFL players. So we couldn't have known that he could be that. It's just incredible. It's awesome.
Here, I've got just another one for you. This is one that Wiz sent to us. This is from @FrontOfficeNFL. This is his passer rating by situation. Overall, 111.9. That's first.
Right.
Deep, 20 plus air yards. 136.5 passer rating by far. First. Under pressure, 104.4. First. Outside the numbers, 127.9. First. Past the sticks, 125.6. First. Versus zone, 114. Tight window, 80. That's second. Versus the blitz, 124.9. That's second. I mean, basically every measurable statistic, he's either first or second, except on third and fourth down, where he's at 109.4, and that's good for fourth in the league.
Right.
That's just all you need to know about the season he's having.
Yes, situationally, in every situation, he's the best. It's
yes.
I mean,
well,
we might have been low on him, ranking him 5 in the preseason.
Yeah.
Totally, man. And like but I think that was even like the high end of his ranking industry wide, probably. And
For sure.
Nobody was seeing him. Like, I think we probably all could see maybe that upside in him. Did not think it was happening in year 2. And Jax, you mentioned like the threat of the run. I think the way that shifts the defense, like you can't say enough for that. I think what goes with that is interesting. He only runs for like 24.5 yards per game right now. He's only run for 2
Right.
touchdowns. So I think there's room for regression
There
on
is.
that as well. And I think there's room for regression on that without putting a dent in any of the passing work still too,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I mean, to me, he's the dynasty quarterback one, and it's pretty easy right now because of what he's been
Yeah.
putting together. And I think maybe there's some tuxedo risk in that, in what we
Yeah.
saw from Jaden Daniels last year with him
Yes.
going up to our dynasty quarterback one, because when they have these otherworldly seasons, oftentimes those can be some of the best seasons of their career. Now, I don't want to say this is going to be the best season of Drake Maye's
No.
career just yet,
But
but
it's a
there's
no. It's a
got to
good
be
point.
some sort of fluctuation, right? That's a
I
long
always
career, and it's, you know.
Trav, I always say if you were to sell the RB1 or the WR1 or the QB1 or the tight end one, except for Kelsey for 10 years, but other than that, if you'd have sold the whatever one, you would have been smart to do so because they
Yeah,
weren't the one next year or next moment.
exactly.
You know, so in other words, we always think we know who the one is. You know, Jefferson. Well, now Jefferson's the wide receiver 7 or 8. You know, nobody even wants him anymore. You know, he's bad. Remember, you know, so this happens. This is cyclical, and it happens to the quarterbacks quite often. You know, I mean, Baker was up there after his rookie year, and then had a precipitous fall. Now he's back up there. You know, it's never linear. Even Mahomes. Mahomes was like people. I mean, we got Mahomes in that league that we do together in Everest, right?
Yeah.
At like the 203 or something. Remember, like this was a steal. So you know these things tend to go up and down. So I agree with you with the 101 thing. But one thing real quick was, you know, we had Drake Maye and Joe I think was highest, but I was right there with you. I was like, this we've seen what we needed to see after year one. So me after you know his college career, I was down on him. After year one, I'm like, no, he's a real deal, and we were telling you that, Trav. But even we at that point weren't ever thinking of this.
No, did not have this in mind. The one thing I'll say to your point just now, Trav, just kind of the counter, not that I fully believe it, this is sort of a half take, but dude doesn't even have a real bona fide wide receiver yet, right?
True.
He's rolling out there with Kayshawn Booty as his like wide receiver 1. So I think that there's, you know, I don't know how much higher the ceiling can get aside from more volume, but it's like absurd the potential. So it feels like a safe investment, but not one I'd pay QB1 prices for it today. It's kind of like I hope you listened to us back then.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think what that like new alpha number one wide receiver doesn't necessarily raise the ceiling, but just kind of solidifies the ceiling. You know what I mean? Makes you
yeah.
more confident in him reaching that ceiling year over year over year. So yeah, I think everything is set up for them to be able to do that. And what a ride for you, Jax, eh? How
It's
good are you
fun.
feeling right now?
It's fun. I mean, obviously the schedule. It's funny. You know, I had someone say, "Yeah, the schedule. You guys play this obviously." I said, "The schedule's throwing fucking bombs, bro." Um, you know, so that's it. That's all I gotta say. That's my new nickname for Drake May. The schedule.
Couldn't beat the Raiders though. Could not beat the
No,
Raiders.
no, no chance. No chance. That's the toughest team they played all year. That's why I've heard. You know,
We
we'll
were
All
see.
right,
undefeated at
guys.
the time.
We'll see. I like our team. I like what we did this past week, like just knocking fools out all over the place. I mean, obviously, you don't like to see guys get hurt, but you do like to see your team lay in the wood like that. So that was cool.
Mhm. So even more tuxedo risk is held by one Caleb Williams, boys. And I think like the risk wasn't really that hidden. You know what I mean? We knew that there was going to be some sketchiness to being a Caleb Williams truther. And I was definitely the most bullish on this show of Caleb Williams. And he's producing for fantasy. It's been fine for fantasy, but it's fucking scary when you're watching him. Like he teeters on the edge of having a terrible fantasy
Yep.
day almost every single week. So I will say that it is a little bit scary, but I mean, you look, he's got 17 touchdowns. He's only got 5 interceptions. So it's not like he's throwing a ton of crazy interceptions, but I think some of the decision making and some of the Jax, I actually heard you chatting with Coop on this week's episode of the Undrafted, and Coop was just like, dude, just don't throw a rocket ball into Colston Loveland's chest when he's like 5 yards downfield. And there's some of that stuff where he just needs to take a little bit off sometimes and he needs to be able to pick his spots and whatnot. But I think there are some positives that could be going forward, but I'm not coming into this show saying that, you know, he's locked in and that he doesn't have that potential downside, because like almost on a weekly basis, I fluctuate between, okay, I can back this guy. I gotta step off a little bit. So I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Has your feeling shifted with what we've seen this year, being that he's been viable for fantasy still? Or are you guys still in kind of not liking Caleb mode?
I'm just terrified of Caleb, be honest with you. Like, I'm terrified to trade him away. I'm terrified to have him on my roster. I'm terrified to fade him. I'm terrified to pimp him, because he's one of these players that's just going to just have an amazing game. He's got all the talent in the world. I think that's what it comes down to. But yet, I saw there's some people lately, like the new sort of trendy sort of topic has been that quarterbacks don't matter anymore. Look at Chicago, they're number one, and Caleb is 23rd in passer rating, and so forth and so on. There's other examples, but Caleb's sort of the highlight of that. I'm like, that's interesting. It's an interesting point that he's 23rd in passer rating and they're 9-3. How's that happening? There's something to that a little bit, but I think he's just so erratic that when he's playing up, he's playing up. When he's playing down, he's playing down. But the point that you made, that the reason they're winning games is when he plays down, he doesn't turn it over. So, just airmail stuff and like a lot of incompletions, and you're like, dude, what is going on? But not a lot of picks, not a lot of like he's not really a bonehead. He's just erratic. He's actually pretty careful with everything out there, even though he's erratic, right? He's not, I don't know. It's a very interesting, phylum of player. It's a little bit, maybe, I don't know. I really, what's the comp for this guy? I mean, it's very unique, I think.
Yeah, there really isn't a comp I can think of for him, because like the wild plays are there, right? He just makes these throws where it's like, okay, nobody can do that. Like that's ridiculous, right? But all the concerns still linger. I've talked ad nauseum about like his command of the line of scrimmage and just how he looks out there and how uncomfortable it all feels when you're watching this dude play. Not only that, like I filtered just quarterbacks with at least 100 pass attempts, right? And that was 42 quarterbacks this season. He ranks 39th in catchable throw rate. So it's not like he's lighting the world on fire by any means, but he is still making these big plays. But to your point, he's got a 3.4 touchdown interception rate, right? So that's good. We want to see it over 3. That's fine. 6.87 yards per attempt, nothing to write home about, like to compare it to Drake Maye's 8.4, right? So it's just concerning, but they're winning, and Ben Johnson is really a wizard. I think this is like really just more of a testament to him and how they've gotten that running game going. Like, I don't know. It just seems like with that quarterback and those receiving weapons, we should be getting a lot more stats. And I think it's kind of telling that it hasn't come together in that respect yet. Not to say that it can't, because the potential's, as high as anybody's if he can figure out the other parts.
Yeah, he's had the sacks have come down this year. His sack percentage was basically 11% last year. Now it's 4.5%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's way down. That's very good. The interception rate is just over 1%, which is also great. So I think the touchdown rate is up. Like his sort of percentage stuff is up, except for completion percentage is actually at 58%, which is a strange number for a guy who has 5 picks and no sack. Like, it's, I guess maybe he's just kind of, instead of taking sacks, he's making throws that he kind of knows aren't, he's throwing it away, for lack of a better term. Like he's just firing it high and he's like, I guess that was fun. I guess, right. Those are the mistakes he's making instead of taking brutal sacks. Maybe that's it. What do you think?
Yeah. But, Coder pointed out that his fantasy points per pressure drop back is tied for 4th worst. So it's like, yes, he's not taking sacks, but he's also not really
correct
done in those scenarios either. Right?
There it is. That's the answer, right? So thanks, Coder, for being awesome. By the way, best guy in the green room ever to have, right? Would be Coder. Like if you're like making a list, you're like, you know what we should do? We should probably get someone, who wants to hang out and feed me information. It'd be like, Coder, obviously, right? Would be first choice, right?
Yeah. He's just building an app for the private chat in the background. Here, you guys can filter it all just right in the private chat.
Oh shit, that's hilarious. That's
Thanks,
so good.
Coder.
That's fantastic. That was a nice shout out for Coder. But it's true. That's the answer. It's like the pressure's coming. Rather than eating it, he's just making a bad throw that isn't picked off. Pretty crazy. That's what's
incompletions. Yep. Yeah. So it's interesting. I think for me, he's probably still around that top 10 probably back of the top 10 for dynasty quarterbacks, just because I think maybe some of that stuff can get reined in, but there is that downside risk. Now, I think probably less risky, but maybe feeling more risky this season than we thought coming in is Bo Nix, guys. He's had a bit of an up and down season. We've seen a little bit of ceiling in him. He had, I believe, a 40-point week about in the middle of the season. Been pretty down, though, with a bunch of kind of subpar, less than 15-point weeks for fantasy gamers. And so some of that shine feels like it has come off, but the Broncos are still winning games, guys. He's still, getting it done for this team, dinking and dunking it a little bit, but we're not necessarily seeing him take over and put this team on his back, which I don't know if he ever was going to do that in the Sean Payton offense, though. I think we were kind of linking it to the Drew Brees era, but I don't know if we're there yet, especially with Bo Nix. Joe, do you think we're going to get there? Do you think like that's something we'll get to with Bo Nix, or is he kind of going to forever be this sort of middling with some upside starter for fantasy?
I think that's probably right, but where he, made up for it certainly in his rookie season was with the rushing, right? But it's uglier this year. It looks like his first 5 games, his first 5 weeks as a rookie were kind of like borderline catastrophic, right? We're just like, dude, this guy might not be able to play. And then he really got dialed in and he fixed a lot of the footwork problems. But like this year, you're seeing more of those footwork issues kind of resurface. He's like reverted to that a little bit. And I think where it's really taking its toll is like they're just like his deep ball completion percentage is way down. And it's like, it's a problem, right? They're getting by similar to the Bears. They're getting by because like the team environment around him, the defense is arguably the best in the league. But he's at a 2.1 touchdown interception rate, so that's not great. His catchable throw rate 71.5%. That's 36 of that list of 42 that I just mentioned. So nothing to write home about there either. I think we think of him as like this dude who takes care of the ball and just moves the chains, but I don't know. They're kind of winning in spite of him. That being said, I'm not overly concerned because he's tied to a good coach. He's got some good weapons. He's got the rushing floor. Like it's just probably variance is my guess.
Yeah, I think that's probably right for him too. And I think in this offense that we've seen spreads targets around, we've seen it likes to use the run. Really interesting. I'm looking at the splits here as far as rush to pass rate. They are the third. Where'd they go? Overall pass rate in the first half, the Denver Broncos throw the ball at the third highest rate, 68.3%. In the second half, it's 54.9, goes down to about middle of the pack. So I thought that was kind of interesting as I was looking here. Actually goes down towards the bottom, about 25th or something like that. So it's an interesting shift for the second half in running, maybe some winning games, I guess, but just trying to find out where this slump is coming from and from a statistical standpoint.
Easy for you to say.
Nothing is easy for me to say tonight, brother.
Out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, where do you think Bo Nix ranks in wins since the start of last season?
Top 5?
He's 5th. He has 20 wins since the start of last season. Only quarterbacks ahead of him are Sam Darnold, who's at 23, Jared Goff, 22, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes at 21, and then Hurts and Nix are both at 20. So, Nix kind of getting it done. I mean, we kind of have the ups and downs with him. I don't know, man. He's winning football games. Yeah, there's definitely something to be desired with Bo Nix, but in that time, he's been pretty good. I mean, we're certainly grading on a curve. I mean, a little bit too erratic with it, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me. I think he's gonna hold his fantasy value for as long as he can be a winning quarterback because he still scores fantasy points, and we can nitpick all we want, but for as long as he's a winning quarterback on a winning team, they're not doing anything except riding him.
Yeah, and I think with these first 3 guys, we're not really concerned about any of these dudes losing their job, right? So they're going to hold value in our super flex leagues for sure, and probably be pretty useful in single QB leagues. All 3 of them, right?
Bo Nix is probably a buy low. I think
I think
people
so
are a little scared of him a little bit, and I think it's like I mean, maybe he fails out, but I don't see that. I don't.
Yeah, well,
I like
he's
that.
got that job for a little while. And if you look at his weekly just fantasy points performances, he hasn't had too much like back-to-back bad performances. The only time he's had less than 15 points in 2 consecutive weeks was week 10 and 11. So usually he's been bouncing back a little bit. And so you just kind of have to expect that he's going to have some of those 17 to 19 point games along with those 20 to 27 point games. Whereas this year, yeah, week 7, he did have that 40 point kind of blow up. So maybe you get one of those a season, maybe 1 or 2 per season. But I don't know if this offense is going to be predicated around a bunch of 4 touchdown, 400-yard games.
Yeah, I mean, to the point of what is infuriating about him, I just looked at passing success rate over that period of time, and I kind of used just all the quarterbacks who had like 5+ wins or something like that. Like even Penix is on this list, but Penix is ahead of him. Bo Nix 25th in passing success percentage or success rate in the league. Behind Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins and Geno Smith. So in the last 2 years, that's not all that good. So not great. And I think that's really what we're seeing, right? We're seeing that there's always like just not quite consistent enough, and that's why they're not blowing teams out, right? That's why they're kind of winning close. Like, whether it's he starts the game frustratingly or ends the game frustratingly, he'll do one of those.
You mentioned him, Jax, Michael Penix. He is next on the list, and I did that intentionally. But the way that I have the list for listeners, on Twitter, when people are trying to show how there's a huge gap in between one group of players and the others, they'll 3 names, and then they'll have like period, 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 and then the other name.
Yes.
That's what I did on the show sheet here. So It's Drake Maye, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and then line, all of them with just a period. Michael Penix Jr., and then he who will be named in a few minutes. But Michael Penix Jr., it's interesting because I think we're going to be going into 2026 with a bunch of the same questions that we came into 2025 with.
Agree.
He's probably going to be getting that starting job, but there may be some competition in there. Definitely, I think they need to bring some competition in there because it's not like he was lighting the world on fire in this offense beforehand. And now with him going down the stretch, we're not going to get to see what he can do in clutch time. So I'm a little bit worried about Michael Penix, boys. There was a time when we did like our first Dynasty rankings show where I had him as my Dynasty quarterback 12, and I'll tell you, we're way off of that now.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling around Michael Penix? Because I don't know if he is as a buy low as is Bo Nix. You can probably get Penix for cheap as hell, but I don't know if I really want to do that.
No. And I'll tell you why. I mean, you can go after me there. I'll go quick. It's the rushing upside. So, the thing with Bo Nix, at least for fantasy, is like, okay, I'll take the roll of the dice that he's going to be good or bad, but he's, first of all, he's on a winning team and and he's got rushing upside. As does Caleb and Drake Maye, by the way. But Michael Penix, even if he hits, it's kind of like this upcoming class that we're seeing. It's like, if they hit, it's like, okay, you got Jared Goff, you really need some elite level passing. You need Matt Stafford to make this thing like worthwhile. You're not getting that, so there's just too many downsides, and the upside is like, meh, average, middle of the road QB2. So, I don't really like the buy. I mean, unless it's super cheap. I was listening to, Shane and Scott Connor on their show, and they were talking like, would you trade a third? Would you take a third for him or something? Like, bro, I'm not taking a third for him just because like why do I want to do that? Like, so, but you're not really looking to pay a second or two. So he's kind of a hold. I don't want to buy him for anything of any modicum of value. Sure, I'll buy him for a third, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't, you know what I mean? He's sort of
2/3?
in this no man's land.
2/3?
Would I sell for that? No.
Would you buy him for 2/3?
Sure. Yeah, whatever. I mean, to me, a starting quarterback for 2/3, especially one who's young, who could have some, then yeah, a middle quarterback too. The quarterback 20 for 2/3 is worth it. You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just wonder how soon that bottom falls off to where he might not be a starter. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah. No, it could be right around the corner because he might not even be healthy for next year.
Yeah, the thing that's insulating his value the most right now is the fact that the Falcons don't have a first round pick, right? They traded away, so they're married to him for at least one more year. And I think Cousins has one more year on his contract. Didn't he sign a 3-year contract with the Falcons?
Sure, but that's probably got to be easy to get rid of.
So Well, I think they're probably just going to roll with Cousins if he's not ready and then transition to Penix when he is ready. But that carries inherent risk. What if Cousins is rolling? They're not going to want to make that switch, right? So it's going to be a lot of questions. We're leaving this season. We're going into next season with more questions than we had going into this season because of the injury concern, the health, just all of it. And his history of ACL injuries, right? Like who's to say it's not going to happen again? Yep. Yeah, exactly. So squeamish, but it's like a hold.
He doesn't even have 3 ACLs. That's how rare it is to pop 3 of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't sell for anything less than a second, but I'd probably be listening for a second.
Yeah, I think I would too. I think I would. I don't think I would sell this next guy for just a second. Not just yet. JJ McCarthy. It looks bad. No, and it's not because I have any sort of faith or belief. It's because I know that there is somebody out there in my league that still has faith and belief in JJ McCarthy and that I could get more than a second out of that. So
you think so?
I think he's got a bunch of questions.
Well, there's nobody paying more than a second right now.
Yeah, I think you missed the boat, dude.
Oh yeah, no, that's why. And
there's nobody buying at all.
Cares guy, so I'm not trying to sell, but I don't know.
I have some shares.
Me
and
too.
I have a few cares.
I have many cares.
Yeah. And you don't think you could get a first out of him if you made some sort of package or something like that?
No. Not even close.
Really?
All right.
So there's still people trying to explain away this terrible play, though. You know what I mean?
Nobody. So here's the thing. There's also the fear of being an idiot. And so nobody is going to put a first on the table.
No That's way. Why I got zero shares, boys.
No, no way. It would be a very inexperienced league for sure. Because
I'm down bad on JJ. I mean, I think I have like 3 shares. It's not like crazy, but like I loved this guy, right? Yeah. And there was something always in the back of my mind, like every quarterback from this class can't be good. He's the only one we haven't seen yet. He's probably going to be the one that sucks, right? That was in my mind. And then there was that offseason flirtation. Remember when they were talking about bringing Aaron Rodgers into Minnesota? And everyone's like, why would you do that? You've got this rookie, JJ McCarthy. Why would you just throw him out there, right? It's like, oh, there was a lot of smoke there. And we just didn't want to see it. We had our blinders on. That was a screaming red flag.
Tuxedo risk.
Big time. Yeah. And that's exactly what we did. We're like, it's a KOC quarterback. He's got Addison. He's got Justin Jefferson.
He's a winner.
Oh my God. I've said those exact words.
Of course, me too. Yeah, both and you know what? And you know what? I'm gonna continue to bet on him a little bit, meaning that I'm not gonna sell low. I'm probably not buying. I mean, I'll buy for a third again. You want to sell me JJ McCarthy for a third? I will pay it, of course. Will I be aggressively buying? No, but if someone wants to throw him into a package deal, like if I'm making a trade and whoever I'm dealing with has JJ, I may find a way to try and sneak him on there as part of the value of the side he's giving up if I can do that. So yeah, I'd be okay with that, All
right. So here's the good news. He's better than Brosmer.
Yeah.
Right? Like Brosmer was worse. So maybe there's a systemic issue with the Vikings.
Oh, thank God. Like I said, if he went out there and threw 302, it's gonna be more than Jover. It's gonna be like the worst Jover of all time.
You guys are lucky that Desmond Ridder just didn't crack the main roster off the practice squad, or else that could have just blown everything up.
Yeah. I mean,
he would have had his Josh Dobbs moment.
So we can't sell McCarthy, right? No one's buying, right? We can't cut him. Like the best we're hoping for now is like, I don't know, one, he just like has a drastic turnaround these next few weeks, which I think is highly unlikely based on what we've seen so far. I mean, he's got a 10.6% sack rate. That just tells me he is not processing information nearly fast enough at the NFL level. He is at a 64.8% catchable throw rate. I mentioned my list earlier, 42 candidates. He's number 42. The positives, again, it's only 159 attempts. Like we haven't seen that much of them, but like, I don't know, what are we hoping for? Like a Sam Darnold or Geno Smith trajectory at this point? Like just he's going to be on the bench for a long time and maybe figure it out in a few years. It's not looking good in the short term, though.
I will say that I've been talking about it. I've been doing a bunch of strength of schedule analysis and doing it kind of weekly. And I ran this week's numbers, boys, and over the next 4 weeks, so the fantasy playoffs, I did the aggregate score. So I took fantasy points allowed over the last 5 weeks, weeks 9 through 13. And I got each team's, and then I found each team's schedule, and I laid out the fantasy points for each team's schedule, and then I got the aggregate score. So whoever has the highest average of their opponent's fantasy points allowed. Vikings have the most friendly for quarterbacks, most friendly for slot wide receivers, most friendly for wide aligned wide receivers, and 7th most friendly for running backs. And so I think there's some schedule opportunity there, but I think what we've seen from how he has played, maybe there's tuxedo risk in that schedule opportunity as well, boys. I wonder how many times we've said it so far.
Yeah.
I traded for Justin Jefferson in a kind of redraft keeper league that I'm in based on that. I was just like, you know what? The schedule is just too good in the playoffs. I'm going to go grab JJ and win a championship. And I'm just like, can I even play him? Am I starting Luther Burden or Justin Jefferson? That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
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 I think the big thing with him has been the interceptions, obviously. I mean, it's been a little rough for sure. He's not been good. But you know who else has not been good this year has been Cam Ward, who was picked first overall. And I know that the environment is so much better for JJ. I get it. I understand that. But I mean, there's he's been better, I guess. Cam Ward has been than JJ has ever been, I guess. I don't know.
And he's playing in
it's
his rookie season, so I think it's a little bit a different comparison.
He hasn't looked nearly as bad as JJ. I will say
No.
this, though. Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel, the only two quarterbacks that were lower than JJ McCarthy in yards per attempt. JJ's at 5.84, and they are both below that. I think you can attribute Cam Ward's situation to lack of weaponry a little bit.
Yeah.
And with Dylan Gabriel, I mean, I think he is probably not a starter. Let's say
They ain't letting him throw downfield. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yep. No, he's
Nice.
definitely the worst. I mean, I put it this way. I just looked at quarterback rate over the last 2 years, just quarterback passer rating over the last 2 years. So from the beginning of 2024 through today, quarterback rating, and all of them, all 53 quarterbacks, including Jake Browning, are above 70 quarterback rating, above 70. It's not a hard bar to cross. The bottom two, number 54 and 55, Anthony Richardson at 61.7 and JJ McCarthy at 57.9.
Yeah, if you want to go back further, and I did
Ouch.
this exercise, I mean, it's Jamarcus Russell territory is where JJ is in, just to give the listener, if you don't know that already, it's like, it's that bad. So,
Yep.
I think as probably the most JJ detractor of the group, I will say his sample size is still pretty small. Like the signs are very alarming, but the sample size is, you talk about Jamarcus Russell,
Agree.
his sample was way bigger than what we've seen from
he had
JJ McCarthy
two
so far,
or
right?
3
So,
years. I should
to
know
your
that.
guys' point, like, don't sell him low just yet. He might be a bad quarterback, but he still might have some of that insulated value that goes back up, because I'd be holding till I could package him for something centered around a first round pick. So maybe I can't get it now, boys. You guys wouldn't sell him for a 2 straight up right now, would you?
Yes.
Yes.
You would. Oh,
Yeah. So
Please offer me a 2.
yeah, here's the thing too. Yeah, of course. Yeah, take a 2. But of course, because that's the
a
next
2
thing
is
after
never, like, a 2 is very rarely getting you a starting quarterback,
Of
though,
course
right?
not.
So,
Of course not. Yeah.
his chance at being a starting quarterback still makes me not necessarily want to start or sell him for a second.
Yeah, no.
The
Like
indicators are
JD
all
Higgins,
Yeah,
If
the
he enters
indicators
as
are
the
all
starter next
flashing
year,
red. They're all flashing red. The meter's about to break. This
sure.
thing's going down, Trav. I hope
I believe,
he pulls out, but like,
yeah,
this is where you bail
yeah.
if you
fair.
can.
Especially for a second. Here's the thing. You could sell 3 seconds for something. You can't sell 2 seconds in JJ for anything more than 2 seconds.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's just, I mean, that's just the truth.
That might be the play. We use JJ and a later second to try and get an earlier second. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
JJ Beggs are down so fucking bad right now, boys.
But
I
hey,
didn't know.
by the way, dude, he has 159 attempts. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing. So, to your point, there's not a big sample size. So we can at least say that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Jay just said in the chat, you can also sell him for a second now and buy for less after the season.
Fucker.
Probably true. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, having Jay in the back is such a nice little wrinkle. So I hope our listeners are enjoying that as well. He's like that mystery man. Okay, boys, we're gonna talk about some playoff buy lows.
Yep.
And I was thinking about this, and I think it's interesting, right? There's a couple of different types of buy lows for the playoffs, right? There's buying for playoff production. You're trying to get those guys that can be stalwarts in your roster for that playoff run. Where the conversation actually came from, though, was buying dips, right? Buying dips for the future. And so the conversation was from Coder actually, and it was around Justin Jefferson and how Justin Jefferson may never be easier to acquire than he is right now. And I think these ones are interesting because I think what you're doing here is what you're probably doing is selling some playoff production, right? And so you're buying, but it's almost disguised as a sell. But what you're probably trying to do is find some form of upgrade, especially if you're going for a guy like Justin Jefferson. Joe, you were talking about putting some feelers out there for JJ. What was that? What was that looking like as far as acquiring him? How did the value go, and the other person maybe value him?
Well, this is a little bit different. It's not really analogous to Dynasty. It's like a keeper league where
Oh yeah,
the values increase. So I traded a first, but a first doesn't mean the same thing. I think I kind of disagree with you though, Trav. Like I think even if I'm a contender, I might be taking swings at Jefferson because even if he doesn't help you win this year, it's just the fact that he's this cheap right now is where the opportunity is, right? So like I don't know if I was a playoff team and I've got a late first and maybe another first, like I kind of think you got to throw out two firsts for Justin Jefferson. If you can get it for less, like a first and a second, fine. But like if you're a playoff team, go ahead and offer that first for JJ. You're not going to do better than that at wide receiver next year.
Right. Yeah. No, and eventually something's going to change in Minnesota. Either JJ McCarthy is going to turn it around like Trav thinks, or
fuck,
or they're going to get some. Thank you so much. I'm good at this.
Yeah.
This is what I'm good at.
Wait till you hear the cold open this week,
Yeah.
Jax.
I'm just kidding. Trav hates JJ McCarthy. Oh boy, I think I know what it's going to be. Meatwad, be at the money. Anyway, so yeah, I mean something's going to change, right? Because if JJ continues to suck, then they're going to bring someone else in, and that someone else is going to have a better than a 57% quarterback rating. So yeah, we're going to be good there. I'm okay with buying JJ. I mean, as long as you're not giving up production like a Devontae Adams plus to get him, you're like, wait, you're ruining. That's you got to
kind of have
formulate
to
the
be
trade.
though.
No, I'm saying if you're a contender, why would you give up production just to get
Yeah.
him? You know what I mean? You can do it like Joe's saying with do it with future assets, do it with younger players, do it with someone that's hurt or something.
Yeah.
There's other ways to do it.
If you think about it, the Justin Jefferson team is probably not doing all that well. So they're probably
Right.
looking to get draft picks right now anyways, which is why I think draft picks is actually the answer to get him. And, he's still 27 years old. We got plenty of runway left for an elite player.
Yeah, if you're new to the program and you happen to have Matthew Golden on your roster, which most of our listeners don't, but if you do, you can offer him up plus a first and see if that'll get it done. Thank you.
that would be highway robbery, and it would be if you can make that trade, please send us a screenshot. We will give you all the love on the
I don't think that's
podcast.
going to do it. I don't think that's going to.
All the love. Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? I think where Coder was kind of coming from when he was talking about it, and he is in the back, so he can feel free to chime in the chat there. I think where he was coming from was that you can't necessarily rely on Justin Jefferson's production for right now, and you would more so be buying him for having that elite asset on your team in the future. But yeah, Joe, like he does have that great schedule, like we mentioned as well. What about a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys? He's got that injury. He's a little bit banged up. Jax, I heard you talking to Coop again on the show about Amon-Ra St. Brown, and if you might, on the flip side of this, flip a guy like Amon-Ra plus something for a guy like CeeDee Lamb, who is producing right now. I'm turning this one on its head, pun intended, as we're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Would you maybe buy Amon-Ra St. Brown, even if you're out of it this year and you need to get that elite wide receiver, maybe you have some productive assets on your team that aren't going to be long-term bets. Maybe you do a quantity over quality trade or something like that. Would you be looking to acquire Amon-Ra in that situation as well, even if you're not contending?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm always willing to consider acquiring any elite wide receiver. So, I think I was looking at sort of the wide receivers, and just if you just look at wide receivers, it's like, the top 12 or 13 or whatever, however many you want to get there. Certainly George Pickens in there. I want all those guys, like every one of those guys, one way or the other. I'm buying all those guys if I can get them at value. So to me, those are, I'm never not interested in players like that at value. So, yes, I think right now though it's also like I did this. I sent you guys the tweet. It's not like a bragging thing. It's actually like it was a healthy exercise for me. It was just like, of my 22 dynasty leagues, 9 of them are already into week 16. Like that's the next meaningful game. They're locked into a game for week 16 in the semis. That's where they're at. And it's like, okay, well, that team has a different need or goal or attitude than the team that has to win this week. And so, different trades make sense for different times. So I really think it's like, tell me the story of what team. There's so much context right now that I think that's really the thing that my mind keeps going to. It's like, do I want to buy Amon-Ra? Tell me more. Let's talk about what this team is doing, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you how to make something happen. But yeah, any top 12 wide receiver, yeah, pull the trigger, no matter what the situation.
I think in terms of other buy lows, and I know at this time of year people are gearing up for the playoffs, but there's also teams that are just selling right now and
Right.
potentially just looking at next season because the teams that are gearing up for the playoffs. So I would just want to remind people that Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, both in contract years, right? So that presents a buying opportunity for both Walker and Etienne, but also their backups, Charbonnet and Tootin. It's a good time to go be buying them. You get a little bit of production, perhaps, if you're a contender, but you're buying an asset that hopefully is going to appreciate in value, has an outsized chance of appreciating in value going into the 26 season. J.K. Dobbins is another guy who's a free agent. He'll probably stay in Denver. I think we've seen that they probably need a J.K. Dobbins, or R.J. Harvey hasn't come all the way around yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you can get Dobbins for a song right now, and he's not going to help you in this playoff push. But if you're out, he's not a bad target. Get a pick and Dobbins for one of your running backs that is producing right now to send to a contender, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm always looking to build that running back room back up.
I also think Javonte is an interesting one for me because unless the Javonte manager is winning, if they're not winning, I don't know why they have Javonte, right? So, and I also don't think that the general consensus of Javonte is that elevated. He was a top 40 pick. He was a highly lauded first round pick in our rookie drafts. He had all the makings of a stud running back, top 10, dynasty running back. He gets hurt and kind of becomes an also ran, goes to the best team, the America's team, the most lights are bright shining team, and performs amazingly as a top running back, and yet his value is still lagging. I think people are nervous about the shoe falling, or whatever the saying is. In other words, the shoe dropping. What the fuck happens to a shoe? It gets thrown at you. Whatever. You get my point. Like, I think they're afraid that he's not going to be in this position come start of 2026, and that's reasonable. But I don't know, man. I think he's done enough to earn something somewhere. Hasn't he?
I think he has. I think he most likely stays in Dallas unless they're just
Right?
completely unwilling to pay any running back anything, as they've been doing the last few years. Another one is Trey Benson, right? So Benson,
How dare you?
I know. You know me. I'm not the biggest Benson fan, but as our boy Coder points
I was
out,
going to say.
he's got one of the best playoff schedules, and also the Cardinals sort of lead the league in high value touches for running back. So you combine those two things, sight unseen, right? We really still aren't sure on Benson. This is a little
Yep.
bit of a gamble, but like if you're maybe one of the more speculative playoff teams that like needs a huge push in order to be a real contender, like how you do that is with asymmetrical upside. And I think Benson provides that kind of bet. If you're like a 6 seed, you know, he's a good guy to YOLO on.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a good call.
Looking at some of these schedules, guys, the Cardinals have the 4th best aggregate schedule for running backs. Saquon actually and the Eagles have the 5th best aggregate schedule for running backs. Saquon's a tough buy because he's at the highest end of things, but there has been a little bit of shine coming off this season, and so maybe some production coming there for him. Just kind of looking at these schedules, guys, like, yeah, I mean, Kenneth Walker, you already mentioned him. They have the 3rd best running back schedule. The Giants have the best, but I don't know if you're buying anything off of there because it's got Scatterbo coming back next season. But Tyrone Tracy, how about Motor getting a little bit of work there, Jax? Motor.
You know it. Yep.
What
Absolutely.
else are you thinking, boys?
I kind of like Sean Tucker and Rashad White for teams that are not contending, right?
Yeah.
Just go get them because, again, the free agency, we talked about this on last episode. Sean Tucker's undrafted rookie free agent. He's a free agent after this year because they only have 3-year contracts. Then Rashad White, it's kind of a poorly kept secret that he's not getting re-signed. So one or both of those guys could find themselves in a better role next year, particularly Sean Tucker, who has been kind of stuck behind these guys. He went right back to just not playing last week, right? So I think you could get him for real cheap. That manager rode him for as long as they rode him, whatever it was, a few weeks. And now they're probably ready to get off the ride.
What are you thinking, Jax? Any buy lows that you're looking at right now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you start to get too low, they start to make a little less sense for
I know,
anybody. But you know, because I'm thinking like, who would someone actually sell? You know, that actually makes a difference that they don't mind selling. It's very short list, oftentimes. You know,
I think there's rookie wide receivers.
I
could
think
be
I
part
think
of this
also
conversation.
Devin Neal though. Before we get off
Oh,
running backs,
sure.
I think when I think of that, I think of a Devin Neal.
Hell yeah.
It's your boy, Trav, but I think Devin Neal is an interesting buy because I don't know that the value's too high. I think you can still kind of, you know, when you're going back and forth in trade negotiations, you know, the other owner, the other manager is either reasonable about the Devin Neal price or he's not. If he's reasonable, then I think it's going to center around a second-ish. You know, it's not going to be centered around a first. And so as you sort of talk about that type of value, you can start to put some things together, especially where you're sending stuff the other way. Like, could you send Dobbins plus a third and a
That's what I
fourth
was
for, you know what I
just
mean?
thinking. A third in a player
You
that's
know,
got
yeah.
some
Could you
more
get
proven production.
right?
Hell yeah.
You know, it's like you could probably get that done. And so I think there's some trades that you could get pretty creative with Devin Neal. You know, so
Totally.
yeah, I like the Devin Neal buy.
9th best playoff schedule for running backs as well. I put a tweet out this morning, guys, that said Terrence Ferguson is probably the cheapest we will ever be able to
True.
acquire him for right now. And I
Yep.
think about that a lot. And
Yeah,
I do
that's
think
true.
about that a lot, boys.
Yep.
Now you're not buying him for any sort of production. So that's where we have to have that distinction where some of
Yes.
these guys, we were talking about playoff buy lows, like you're buying for the playoffs.
For the playoffs.
Some are where you're kind of selling some of those playoff assets to get these futures. And I think Terrence Ferguson is going to be incredible. Like, it's very low sample, but his yards per route run are incredible. He is running some downfield shit. We know that offense is going to be predicated on the passing game. I think what worries me a little bit for this team is that Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams are running so pure that I think both of those guys could probably come back next year and play for this team. And so I think that could suppress the real share of targets that Terrence Ferguson could have here. But we've seen Higbee get some targets. We've seen them run a ton of 13 personnel with 3 tight ends on the field.
Yeah.
Lots of the time with Terrence Ferguson not even being one of those guys.
Yeah.
So
Somehow.
I think he cracks that. Well, it's just because the other guys are such better blockers, like Davis Allen and Colby Parkinson are the other 2 guys, I think, along
They
with
bring their
Higbee.
lunch pail. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lunch
and so I
pail.
think Terrence Ferguson probably signals pass a little bit more right now with what they're trying to do in those heavy sets, whereas having the other guys in there don't. But those guys are getting work too. So if Terrence Ferguson can come in and do more than just signaling pass, then I think he could put himself in really good position.
I think it's such a concentrated target tree anyway that I'm not too worried about. There, if there's room for a tight end to be successful, there's room. It's not like, I don't know. I think it's fine. Devontae and Puka are awesome. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I mean,
Ferguson also made a sick catch on Sunday that did not count.
Yes.
This one-handed catch that was, he was ruled out of bounds, but
Yeah.
I saw that and I was just like, oh yeah, dude, this guy is gonna be awesome.
By the way, the week of sick catches and none other than Treylon Burks made the sick one, huh? I mean,
we're back, baby.
Was I right about Treylon or what?
AJ Brown, who?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had him over Garrett Wilson and Drake London, obviously. No, I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't even know.
But so I think there's some rookie wide receivers that haven't popped off yet that so again, switching gears, we're talking about buying production for your playoff run, but there's still teams that just aren't going to be making the playoffs and should be selling production. What kind of assets are you getting? You're getting either draft picks, or if you can get them at a discount, there's these rookies that haven't gone nuts yet. I think Trey Harris sort of fits that bill. He had 11 routes on Sunday, good for a 40% route share, 39.3. And he had 4 targets and 3 catches, if I'm not mistaken. So he produced in the limited time he was out there. Granted, he's against my lowly Raiders, but I think we're starting to see him kind of carve into QJ's role. I don't know, that pie is divvied up into a bunch of slices in LA right now. And, who knows how well Herbert's going to be playing when he gets back. But I think that we're kind of pre-breakout with him and a few of these other rookies that it makes sense to buy, especially in December. A couple of these guys are going to go nuts.
And I will say that you can buy these types of players on productive teams too. Because you still have the assets, you have bench players, this, that, and the other. You can start throwing around a Jawan Jennings and a Coker and a whatever. You can just get a little creative by packaging a few of these players up. Emmanuel Wilson, if you've got him and he was performing if it's the Jacob zone, or there's players that may be of no interest to you going forward, or that are at least you feel like could use in a trade that they're not productive pieces, is my point. So you can still go get them, so those are, and I'm with you. Jaden Higgins is the other one.
Yeah.
Jaden Higgins, I think the secret is not yet out, but I think it's Nico and Jaden Higgins in 2026. I feel like that's a foregone conclusion.
Totally.
Little Jalen Luther.
I think Luther Burden, the secret's not really out yet, just because of that problem we were talking with Caleb earlier, that just nobody's really producing right now. Rome's not producing. DJ Moore every couple weeks has a touchdown, but Luther Burden, actually, if I'm not mistaken, he led the team in target share for the first time last week. Now, granted, that was a 16.7% target share, so he's not hitting the threshold that we want to see north of 20, but that's the first time we've seen that happen. So he is carving out his role as well. And if that offense can get going in terms of the passing game, then, I think we've seen enough already from him as an athlete to know he's going to be super dangerous.
Yeah. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention Torrey Horton Here's a Who, because he is a buy low as well. I think he carves into this target share for the Seahawks next year. Cooper Kupp looks absolutely toast.
The way he looks at the camera, hopefully, after the Torrey Horton Here's a Who. Okay.
Yeah. No, there's somebody living on this.
Yeah. Everybody with me here?
Yeah.
While we're on it, what about Gunnar Helm, guys?
Yeah, well,
no.
He's a buy, if anything. Yeah,
I know.
For sure.
Yes.
I think Chig and his yards after catch are staving off the low upside roll right now, but I think the real upside does come in Gunnar Helm. Wrote about that a couple weeks ago as well. He's projecting as an all-around player. Yeah, I'm just cruising through some of these.
I actually still think, if you're talking tight ends, I think Gadsden and Fannin both actually represent a pretty solid buy low. Maybe even Colson Loveland. I'm not sure. I think that I think Colson Loveland, there's some people crazy high on him. And there's probably the same about Gadsden, Fannin, and Loveland, all of them.
I would challenge Gadsden more than Fannin. I think Fannin has seen enough up and down fluctuation from week to week, and there's enough stench around his team to where that you're probably buying him low, but I don't think
Yeah.
those Gadsden bag holders are forgetting any of that upside that they were
Yeah.
able to experience on their
It's
team.
kind of the point, right?
So
Like
yeah, I think
you
that's
gotta
a
take the
tricky buy,
temperature.
but for sure you got to take that tilt.
Yep. No, I think that's right.
What else? So Mark Andrews signed a deal, boys. Mark Andrews just signed a deal today. Isaiah Likely is definitely a buy. As you are one
Imagine
to
how
do.
happy the Mark Andrews family is when they saw that. They're like, "Oh fuck, 40
Thank,
million.
thank
Yeah."
fucking
Like
God.
so
Yeah.
good. Imagine that your dad just fucking extra 40 million.
We're
Whoa.
trading the shit out of
So good.
Andrews off this, right? Like
Wasn't
if
sure if he was
anybody
ever gonna get another one, but there it
totally,
is.
if anybody in your league is an Andrews fan and they see this contract and they're
Mm.
willing to buy into him and give you a Terrence Ferguson, give you an Elijah Arroyo, give you one of these young tight ends, sell that Andrews share for these young tight ends because he's already been giving away looks to Isaiah Likely. And so that contract almost feels like a little bit of veteran deference to me. You know what I mean? Like they did not need to give him a 3-year deal worth 40 mil. You know what I mean? I think they could easily replace what he's doing for them right now, but he's just like a fan favorite and a Baltimore guy. Well, not a Baltimore guy, but he's a lifetime Raven.
Is he the new Zach Ertz? He kind of feels like the new Zach Ertz to me, right? He's just keeping Likely in the cuck chair. Just
Totally. I think he probably comes with more tuxedo risk than Zach Ertz, right? Because we know what Zach Ertz is. I think people are going to continuously be going into seasons thinking that Mark Andrews is the Mark Andrews that he won't ever be again.
I mean, I have a lot of Mark Andrews. If you're asking
I know
me,
you do.
first of all, I think a lot of this is coming down to the Lamar Jackson injury. If you ask me, the production, the whole thing,
Andrews is
all
though?
yeah,
Andrews hasn't produced all year.
the whole Baltimore apparatus
Yeah.
comes down to Lamar Jackson. I think the Rashad Bateman, the Zay Flowers, the Isaiah Likely, the Mark Andrews, even the Derrick Henry. It all is either going to go or stop because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar has 0 20-yard runs this year. That's doesn't make any sense. Lamar Jackson got tracked down by like a defensive lineman trying to get the edge this week. Lamar Jackson that's not him. He's the best athlete on the field when he's right. And that's not how he looks out there. It's like you can just feel it. The pressure he puts on a defense when he's that guy can't be measured. It's just like linebackers are like, "Oh no. Like what I'm dead. Like whatever decision I make, I'm dead." Now they're like, "No, we got this. We can contain him with 4. Like we'll chase him down. We can stay back on the tight end." Like there's just not as much pressure on the defense. And yeah, I'm not so sure. Look, if they give him the extension, that means that Baltimore, the Ravens, think that Mark Andrews is good to go. And if they think he's good to go, once Lamar gets good to go, I think he'll be fine. So yeah, you got a couple more years out of Mark Andrews. Yeah.
So Lamar Jackson is actually an interesting player for this exercise. He's one that I jotted down on
Yep.
my list, and I wanted to ask you guys
Yeah.
about it because I don't know if I agree, Jax. Like when I'm looking at him out there, he seems to be moving around just fine. I know he's coming back from an injury, and he may not be right. Like he had a couple, boneheaded turnovers in the last game that we're not used to seeing from him. So maybe that's a symptom of him not being 100%. But I don't. He looks fine to me. I kind of just think this is more variance, and if we can get Lamar Jackson on the cheap right now, that's probably a good buy. But like, what's the price you're willing to pay for Lamar? And do you have the stones to go start him in your playoffs next week?
I'm going to be starting him in a lot of playoffs this next week. So unfortunately, whether I've got stones or not has nothing to do with it. But I'm going to push back. He does not look good. This is not even in question for me. I've seen Lamar Jackson, and he just makes people look stupid out there. He's able to joystick. He's dead to rights in the backfield. He's able to just wheel out and like beat everybody to the edge and be gone. Like it's crazy. He's a video game out there. He's not a video game out there. My favorite offense in the NFL is video game Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens. You're not seeing that right now. You're just not seeing him put pressure with his legs. He can't do it. And on top of it, he threw a touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely that he fumbled through the end zone. He threw a touchdown pass dart to Zay Flowers, who got an erroneous offensive pass interference call on him. So I don't want to hear any more Lamar Jackson slander. It's not
Interesting that you didn't.
I'm sorry, Miss
mention him.
Jackson. Ooh.
That's me.
Interesting you didn't mention him throwing any touchdowns to Mark Andrews.
Oh, stop it.
Because he ain't.
Oh, stop.
Because his legs don't impact Mark Andrews' fantasy production. But that's okay. We got more, boys. I inadvertently, yes, it does. But we need him to throw the ball for Mark Andrews to produce.
Yes.
Got any more, boys? Is that a tidy little show we just put together?
One of the things that Mark Andrews does a lot is score touchdowns. You know what not running doesn't do? Convert. You know what not converting does? Does not get them by the end zone where Mark Andrews can catch all those damn touchdown passes.
Yeah.
They scored 14 points.
Yeah.
Against Cincinnati at home.
Oh, I know.
You would not have picked that.
No. I think I'm just saying the Andrews problems were before the injury.
Sure. That's fair.
That's okay. And he's an old tight end. Like by
He's an older tight end.
By principle, take the name and trust me, I fucking love Mark Andrews. Yeah. I absolutely love Mark Andrews. But just on principle, I mean, if you can get one of these young studs.
Look, if Mark Andrews were somewhere else, I'd be a little bit like, is he still cooked? But somehow or another in this ecosystem with Lamar and with a contract, I feel a little bit better about it. And to your point, Joe, it's probably a good time to sell also. Also true.
All right, boys. Well, I think that does it for this episode. It was so good to get back in the lab, boys. We gotta keep that rolling. I mean, we've got busy lives and stuff, so shit happens. But yeah, it is very hard to go more than a couple weeks without getting in the lab and spitting with the boys. It just feels like there's too much in the chamber and it's ready to burst sometimes. So I'm glad we got a nice extended pre-show on this one because there was some good stuff there. We had some fun talking about tuxedo risk. I had no idea it was going to come up as much as it did on this episode. We might have to get a little count on there. Yeah, any parting shots for the people, boys?
I have to know.
I can't beat that.
With that, 4-1, Mr. Jax Falcone. 4-1, Joe Quavius, Meatwad Kuvatakis. I am Trav. 4, Coder in the back. We'll see you next week. Peace.